What up, everybody? Now tuned into the true definition of a sports fanatic. I'm your host, Brandon Lampley, back today with another live stream. I got my buddy, Mr. Reid, back in here with me. We back in the barbershop, man. We gonna talk it up for a little bit. Ain't gonna have too many topics today. The news cycle wasn't as plentiful as it has been the last couple of weeks, but we do have a few things that we're gonna talk about. But first, how you feeling today, Mr. Reid?
Hey, feeling good, man. Saturday. Had a good Saturday, man. Feel
Man,
good.
good Saturday, man. Good Saturday. Spending time with the family. That's what I did this Saturday. So, that's always good, man. Always good. But, man, y'all see the topics. And, first and foremost, we have to talk about Dwayne Haskins. I'm sure many of you heard about his passing earlier this morning. He was supposedly out jogging early in the morning, and he was struck by I think they said a dump truck. And so I'm gonna, read through this article just a little bit, and then, me and Mr. Reed will talk about it. We'll talk about some of the interesting takes that's been going around about him since his passing. So say Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Dwayne Haskins died early Saturday morning after he was struck by a dump truck while he was walking on the South Florida Highway. Haskins was 24 years old. Florida Highway Patrol spokesman Lieutenant Indiana Miranda said Haskins was pronounced dead at the scene. He was attempting to cross the westbound lanes of Interstate 595 when there was oncoming traffic, Miranda said in the email statement. She didn't say why Haskins was on the highway near Fort Lauderdale at the time. The accident caused the highway to be shut down for several hours, and Miranda said it's an open traffic homicide investigation. Haskins was training in South Florida with other Steelers quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. Said, I am devastated at a loss of words with the unfortunate passing of Dwayne Haskins. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin said in a statement, he quickly became part of Steelers family upon his arrival in Pittsburgh and was one of our hardest workers both on and off the field and in our community. Dwayne was a great teammate, but even more so a tremendous friend to so many. I am truly heartbroken. He said, my thoughts and prayers are with his wife, Calabria, and his entire family during this difficult time. So after a standout 2018 season at Ohio State, Haskins was selected 15th overall by the Washington Commanders in the 2019 draft. He spent two turbulent seasons in Washington before signing in Pittsburgh last season. And the rest of this is more condolences, and you guys go check it out and talk about his career and players tweeting out the Ohio State, his college coaches and everybody talking about it. But it's just this. It's unfortunate, man. 24 years old. Um, when I seen how young he was, I thought he was much older than that because it seems like he's been in the league much longer than he has. But man, 24 years old, man, that's tough.
Oh yeah, it's no question tough. Guy lose his life today. And this, I always, things like this really don't have a whole lot to do with a whole lot of sports.
Yeah,
um, I just hate to see a young kid, not a young kid, young man, to lose his life at 24 years old when he got so much ahead
yeah,
of his life. I mean, you at 24 years old, man, that's just he really hadn't seen life, to be honest. And to lose it at 24,
yes,
that's nothing but a tragedy. And Brandon, like you said, man, we live in an age of, and I know we getting into this topic, man. We live in an age, you know, where professional athletes are for the, yeah, it's almost some of the reason why, being in this business for over 3 decades, and you see so many things in that time frame that you know I have criticism that I think we value athletes too much. I
mm,
have criticisms that we criticize athletes too much. I think athletes, some of them
what up, Jakar?
don't live up to the table as role models.
Yeah,
And then when we have a situation like this morning, you know, And
What up, Sean?
I speak for all reporters, and
Mm-hmm.
and reporters are supposed to tell the news, not critique the news. Not. I think we done gone from an era of just being news reporters to being where we have to express our opinions about everything.
Yeah.
And I don't like that world, man. I don't like when any young man loses life. I know social media is a much bigger now than what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you name it. You can put
Yeah.
a number and it's bigger. But I have problems, and when I, like we discussed this before we came on, I have a problem with an Adam Schefter. And I put this out there: if I'm a fan, just a football fan, and this kid done died, I don't want to read about in a tweet, or if it's in the story and it's talking about like an obituary where it's describing what his career was. Yeah, it should be in the story. But the first thing I don't want to read on a death of anyone is the flaws. I
Yeah.
don't want to read that he had problems in his NFL career with Washington and Pittsburgh before you tell me that he's dead. That don't go before what the reason is, and you breaking a story about this kid's death, and you put that before you put what happened to him. That's not
Yeah.
journalism. That's opinionated, and it's wrong. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem when we supposedly
What up,
the
Josh?
the voice of the NFL, which you can call them,
Yeah.
and you got it right there. One
Mm-hmm.
journalism 101 is this. This right here, if he's breaking the story, it would be almost like if I was writing that story, the first graph of the story is Dwayne Haskins, his age, and then go into what happened, his death.
Yeah.
In journalism 101, you don't go. I mean, I don't have a problem with him identifying him as a standout at Ohio State. That's what we probably most of the world know him more for that than the NFL career. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem when he describing all of this right here in that graph, and then gets into died this morning. There's nothing more important than Dwayne Haskins died this morning. That should be that tweet leak. Those should be the words that he write in that first graph.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and I think and you're right, Gil Brandt.
Oh, we go. I got it. Already got it. We gonna play Gil Brent so everybody can hear it.
But you don't, even with Gil Brandt and Adam Schefter, it it's not news. We can always go back to fodder. That's what I call it. We can always go back and find. You go back 5 years from now, I find my own faults. I don't need Adam Schefter to bring them up.
Yeah.
But if the day that I die, you know, I just don't think it's respectable to bring up a bunch of BS that don't matter
To
at
an
this
extent when
point.
you were
It don't.
you
It don't matter.
analyzed him over the
Yeah.
That should be at the bottom of the story, and it definitely shouldn't be at the. He's the first guy to report this, and there's no way in the world that should be. That's journalism 101. But journalism 101 now for 2022 is that you throw out these opinions and you throw out all this BS, and you making yourself the story, and
Yeah.
that's where journalism has gone That's why it's almost time for me to get out of the business because that's not journalism. My
Yeah,
responsibility is not for me to send out a tweet and basically I'm barraging this kid before I tell the world that he's died, and that's wrong. And
yeah.
Gil Brandt, you know, I let you lead in what he did, but man, come
Yeah,
on.
so I'm gonna play his. Let me get some of these comments. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Shout out to all my audio listeners. He say, is it true that he was crossing 595? Yeah, that's what he said. He was crossing 595. Also, aren't those 6-lane highways?
No, there's about 8 lanes.
8 lanes. Isn't that the same highways that when Dante Stallworth struck the guy and killed him in the
Yeah,
drunk driving? I think it was like on 595. It was like a 6 or 7 lane highway.
yeah. That's 595. Actually, it like drops you into South Florida if you coming in from Naples. If you coming in from the west coast of Florida. So once it drops you in there, 595 will take you to either 95 North or 95 South. It's gonna drop you either way, either to Fort Lauderdale or Miami, and that's the highway that feeds in to I-95. Now at six
Okay.
thirty in the morning, I don't think it's busy, but I done traveled that road, and it is
It get
there's a
busy. It
lot
get
of
busy.
traffic. Yeah.
Yeah. It say so. Sean Taylor said, "What's up, fellas? Sad day for Dwayne Haskins." Yeah, man. And Josh Stewart say facts. Yeah, when you were talking about journalism 101. And yeah, Sean Taylor says, I agree with Mr. Reid. When someone dies, the negative is irrelevant. Mr. Reid is absolutely correct. And you say, yeah, Gil Brandt were harder than that. So yeah, let me play Gil Brandt, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about Mr. Brandt.
Got to know the young man a little bit, but also from a scouting standpoint, you analyzed him over the years at Ohio State and coming into league with the Washington Commanders and then going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, it's a terrible tragedy, and what wanted your thoughts on that, and also on the player because you did chronicle his career very closely.
Well, Dan, I hate anytime anybody is killed or anybody dies. But he was a guy that was living to be dead, so to speak. They told him don't under any circumstances leave school early. You just don't have the work habits. You don't have this. You don't have that. What did he do? Left school early. I always can remember this. We invited players to the draft, and he was one of the players we invited to the draft. And we were told no. We're going to have our own party. His own party was a party at the bowling alley. Charged him $50 to get into the bowling alley for his party. It was always something, It's one of those things. I'm never offside, but they keep calling me for offside. Is what it is. So, it's a tragic thing. Anytime anybody dies, it's tragic. And especially when you're 24 years old and you got your whole life ahead of you. But maybe if he'd have stayed in school a year, he wouldn't do silly things. I mean, when you're jogging on a highway, on a road like that leaves it open because I tell you, it's so. Guy has 2 drinks and he's just a little bit to the right side of the road and gets hit and killed. It's easy to happen.
Yeah, I want to just.
So the one that this is because I listened to this earlier, but he said something that I missed earlier. He said it's like you getting called for being offsides and you keep saying you're not offsides. Man, for you to have nothing on this guy, nothing. All you got is hearsay. You don't know him. You don't hang out with him. You don't know his people like that. I mean, you may have talked to him or whatever, but you don't know this man. And come on, because he left school early. Come on, a lot of guys leave school early much to the chagrin of their coaches or institutions or whatever. No, nobody wants them to leave early. They want them to come back. But Dwayne did what was best for his family. but living to die, and then him basically throwing rocks and hiding his hand. That's what he's saying, that Dwayne Haskins, that's how he lived his life.
Man, I don't even know how to respond to this without not saying. You might even have to consent to me, but But you know what, man? I say this here, man. I'm glad that I'm 57 years old, so I know a lot about Gil Brandt,
Mm-hmm.
and I know his history. I know the history of the Cowboys. I know that Gil Brandt and Tom Landry, they had a guy on their football team back in the 70s named Dwayne Thomas, and Dwayne didn't speak. You know why he didn't speak? Because he didn't trust guys like Gil Brandt,
Yeah.
who would take his words to mean something that he didn't say. And that's to this day why I don't really care for the cow. I mean, this got nothing to do with what he just said, but it has a lot to do with what his character is. People don't change, man. The years change,
Yeah.
the leaves change off the trees, and we go from January, February to March. But people don't change. This guy, you respect him, yeah, you do. He's been in the league a long, long time. He's 90 years old. Yeah, we give him that prop.
Yeah.
But for him to say things like, basically, this kid was destined to die, I mean, come on, man. I mean, destined for what? He's he died at 24, so you going to tell me 19 or 20 years old, he has all the answers coming out of school and all that, and I was in college, we party.
Yeah.
Don't judge me because I like to have a good time.
Yeah.
That don't mean I'm gonna have a death sentence. It means that I'm young, I want to live life and enjoy myself before things get serious, and that's probably what he was thinking. But these guys, this is what we don't realize in this world, man. If you, and particularly like black athletes, it's like you have to know what you getting yourself into.
Yeah.
You can. And the problem I have is even when the guy, go back to Dwayne Thomas, they have no issue with Dwayne. He did everything right. He just didn't speak to people. But by not speaking to people, he's aloof.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a team player.
Standoffish.
He's standoffish. He doesn't like, he don't get along with anybody. Getting along with people and not speaking I don't correlate the thing. The man did what he's supposed, and Gil Brandt was one of the guys who spreaded all this stuff on this guy. And that was 1972. And it's the same stuff, 72. It's so many years ago, I don't even know how many years ago that was. But the same thing then is the same thing now. That and this is like, Haskins is dead. But do you think that Gil Brandt didn't tell that to other people in the NFL?
Oh yeah, exactly what he said. Yes, he spread those things about him because
Exactly.
it rolled right off his tongue.
Yeah, it's like that's the kind of stuff. You talking about the lawsuit? Yeah, these are the things that happens in the lawsuit because these buddies be around talking to each other, and this is the valuation that you get. Oh, he shouldn't have left school. Oh no, it just seemed like he's not serious. He's going out to party, and look here, man. And then when he don't have a great year, that's the first thing. Oh, I told you so. I told you.
Yeah.
And that's the problem in the NFL in a nutshell on just exactly what he said. Gil Brandt, what he should have said is that this man's life was taken. He's gone too soon.
Yeah.
Show some compassion. Show like you would if it was somebody close to you. show some compassion at what that man family going through tonight, today, next year, and the year after that, you know? And that's the problem I have, Brandon. It's like, man, guys are not robots. You know,
No.
guys make mistakes. Guys are young. And guys don't know all the answers when they're 20 years old and they're being evaluated. And the problem I have, his evaluation of a kid that's immature, it would be his same evaluation he'll have when this kid, if he was still living and he'll be 30, Gil will never change his perception of this kid. And that's the
Yeah.
problem in this league, is that once you get a label, it's hard as hell to get rid of it. And that's an issue with this league, you know? And it's like you got, you know, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just that this guy doesn't, you know, he basically called him a thug. You
Yeah.
know? Basically,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah, he did.
you really want to say it, that's basically what he called him, a thug. That, you know, he's like a time bomb waiting, and I'm not surprised that he died. He don't even have the fact. Yeah, it is questionable that he's on an interstate and he get hit by a dump truck, and yeah, but I don't see anything where I saw in today's reports that he was drunk, but Gil said he was.
Well, when I re-listened to that, he was what it sounded like he was talking about was anybody could have a few drinks and be on the road and swerve to the left or the right a little bit, and a mistake could happen. So it could easily happen. So that's what it sounded like. He could have been talking about him, but when I just listened to it again now, that's what he might have been talking about, because that's what I thought when I heard the first time too. But this just goes back to, say, Nolan the Rocky. Nolan the Rocky, I didn't know who that man was until he talked that noise about Cam Newton. He said Cam had a fake smile. He's disingenuous. He's not a team player. He's me first. He know where all the cameras at. I'm like, really? Stuff like that sticks to them. Just like Dwayne. That stuff Gil Brandt said and the way his perception, it stuck with him. Probably helped him on his early exit in Washington because, of course, Dwayne did himself no favors. He had his issues in Washington. But, dude, he was like 21 years old. And even him. I got old videos of me criticizing Dwayne for after they lost his last games there, they lost, and he didn't do any media. They lost. He refused to do media, and then he was seen partying without a mask in the middle of a pandemic. And then that's when Washington was like, okay, we got to cut bait with him. And I was very critical of him because you're a quarterback, you're a leader of the team. But don't be critical of him in the beginning. Talk about him and his time in Pittsburgh. Because from what I've heard in his time in Pittsburgh, he's been a model citizen. And he's worked very hard.
Yeah, and it just goes, hey, I'm not going to sit here and say that he didn't have faults. But
Right.
I'm also going to sit here and say that I blame a lot of it on immaturity. And if you got guys like Gil Brandt, who knows everybody in the league, then should be not his responsibility. But if you're a role model, if you're 90 years old and you've been in the league since the 60s, then you should be a role model. If you got somebody that you know after 5 or 6 decades, that basically, I mean, life is almost like a relapse. So don't tell me that you done been in this league for 6 decades, that you don't know anybody that's still living who've done been through situations like this kid has gone through, and you don't go try to have him to talk to, or have that former player to go out and reach out and talk to him. No, you don't do that. You know, he'll do it if it was, I ain't gonna say it, but
No,
you get the connotation that it was on the other foot he would. And but the problem is what I'm trying to explain. There's a lot of people in this league like Gil Brandt. Those are the problems. The guy like Gil Brandt, old school, he's never gonna be into, life changes and cycles, man. You can't be the same coach you was in the 70s. If Tom Landry was still living today, he would not know how to handle these young people.
Right.
And
Tom Coughlin can't handle him, so
Yeah.
Tom Landry definitely wouldn't know.
And he's, I just don't, that what he said is, I mean, he should be banned, to be honest. You don't make statements like that. I mean, and I should say nobody's gonna hear me, but man, don't have the guy. I mean, some of these radio stations need to just stop. Let the man just be retired. Don't give him a platform. Just let him be retired. I mean, he does things on the draft. I can understand that, but to give this man a call and you don't think the radio station didn't know what they were doing when they called him up to get his opinion on. We wanted to get what you thought about Dwayne Haskins' death. So don't think that they didn't know that they wanted something that just wouldn't be ordinary. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the thing that we got to stop being in this as media. We gotta stop looking for just the clickbaits and the his reaction would be overshadow anything anybody else say because it'll be totally out of the ordinary. So we need to have him on the radio show.
It's a tweet I saw, and I can't remember the guy's name. And if I could find the tweet, I'll find it. But he talked about basically how he's not caping for Gil or anything like that. But he said there were extenuating circumstances surrounding Gil and people around him and their intentions, and talked about basically how Gil is not really in control anymore. And so I was like, well, I can get some of that, but nobody forced him to go onto that radio show.
No, nobody forced him, but the radio show knew what they were doing. They were calling him up and say, "Well, we'd like to have you come on and 5 minutes we'll have you. We definitely want to get what your thoughts about Dwayne Haskins." I mean, they know. This ain't the first time that Gil Brandt has said something negative about Dwayne Haskins. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
I just think that sometimes we have to use rationale that we don't need to. If he's dead, then let's give it a day where we not throwing mud on a dead person. Okay, let's just leave it. Talk about the good things or something, but don't try to use something to drive up your ratings by getting the most negative person that you could get on the telephone to speak about this guy's death 3 or 4 hours after he died. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Let's show some compassion. I mean, supposed to be some compassion in this. You even with the Schefter tweet. I don't regard tweets as important. I mean, I think it's something where people throw. I was on Twitter the other day defending. I wrote, that this team, the Jaguars, should draft Evan Neal, and the guy disagreed. I say, well, okay, I said it's fine to have Twitter debates, as long as you're not calling me out my name, and I'm not calling you out your name. If you think Aiden Hutchinson is good and you got a reason, then tell me. But I'm not going to agree to it. I'm going to tell you why I think that Evan Neal is the guy that they should draft. But when you put news out, and I assume that Schefter was the first person to probably tweet this. Well, if you're the first person to tweet this, let's tweet he died. Okay? I mean, let's put that out first. Let's don't put out where he had, about what his problems was with Washington and Pittsburgh, and put that before we get to the actual fact of the matter that he died.
Yeah. So I get it, man. So, but we're gonna leave it right there, man. Rest in power to Dwayne Haskins. Man, gone too soon. A young man who was maturing. He looked like he was in a good place. Very happy. Chase Claypool had a tweet where he said, I was with him in his last moments, and the only thing Dwayne cared about was everybody else. He said they're down there. They've been down in South Florida working out. And he said Dwayne just wanted to make sure everybody was taken care of. That was his goal, and it speaks to the young man's character and the type of young man he is, because his former teammates, former coaches, anybody who's talking about him, they have nothing but good things to say about him, and how he was a good teammate, good people overall. So, but rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins.
Yes, sir.
So, man, we're gonna switch it up. Josh asked about Tiger returning for the Masters. I don't really have no thoughts on that, Josh. I mean, I'm happy to see that he's back. Because if Tiger ain't playing golf, I mean, there's really no need to even talk about golf. That's just how I am. But I did see that he's back. Seen he's struggling some too. So hopefully he get it, can get it back on track. He did make the cut though. I did see that. I did see that he made the cut. But man, we're gonna lighten up the mood a little bit, man. And we gotta talk about Mr. Russell Wilson and him being called a square by Channing Crowder. So I'm gonna play y'all the video, and then we're gonna chop this up because this was all the rage early in the week. Everybody was talking about it, so we're gonna give our thoughts on this, man. So let's see.
Russell and Sierra. Yeah, if Russell ain't had that bread, Sierra ain't gonna be with him. Russell square. Russell square. Sierra she has a good situation, but you don't leave Future and get with Russell Wilson.
The thing is, I think that's what
you don't leave Future and get with Russell Wilson. Like, it's a type. Listen, bro, everybody got a type.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody has a type. You gonna leave Future and get with Russell Wilson? He's so goddamn square, and I love him on the field. He's a square.
Channing.
He's a fucking square.
Channing, you go from this level of toxicity, you just want something stable. You want the guy that was sitting with that girl with that big old mouth at the draft that was laughing, and you knew she deserved to be with him.
Goofball?
Yeah, you want that guy.
You want to get with goofballs,
no, you want the guy that told me, you know what? I was praying, and God told me to go save her. That's what the man told me to my face. But even with all
So the funniest part about all of this is what a lot of people, I seen only a few people pointed out, was that Russell Wilson's ex-wife was minding her business and she caught a stray bullet. She doesn't have anything to do with this anymore. She's not a part of that life no more. She's not Mrs. Wilson anymore. And you got Ryan Clark calling her the big mouth chick. That's how that picture is going to live in infamy of her big mouth at the draft day. If you've never seen that photo, go look at Russell Wilson on draft day. His wife next to her with her mouth open, man. It's hilarious. So Ryan brought it up. But I understand what Channing is saying. And Channing is not necessarily saying that it's a negative for him to be a square. What he's pointing out is that, women, they like to play around with the Pookies, the Ray Rays, Lil Homicide, Walmart Tavius, and those type of dudes, the futures of the world. And then after they done with the futures, they got their heart broke or whatever, then they look for guys like Russell. But those guys have to meet a certain standard when they get to the Sierras after she's been through all of that, because now she wants marriage, now she wants this, now she wants that, when she didn't require these things before. So that's kind of what he's saying. But even with all that said, I mean, it really doesn't matter, because Sierra, this is who Sierra wanted. She manifested this. She prayed for this. And Russell has no issue with being a square or corny. He kind of leans into it. The way he talks and listening to him, he knows how people perceive him, and he kind of has fun with it. But him being a square, hey guys, don't mind being a square. Be a square all day long. Squares is what's keeping this world moving. So don't worry about being a square, okay?
Oh boy, I tell you what, man, this been one hell of a night. Boy, this one hell of a night at the barbershop, man. Cause I'm gonna be real, man. When I hear stuff like that, and I can only be real. That's why I'm on your show. I'm almost to the point, man. These guys say, "Oh yeah, Russell." What they really saying to me is like, "Well, damn, Russell got Sierra. I'm jealous."
Yeah,
I'm literally jealous that she ain't broke up with him yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
because most guys would have took that deal. Let's be honest. Most guys would take that deal, no questions asked. Sierra roll up on you. You ain't sitting there to my, oh nah, man, you've been with Future. No, you're not doing that.
Nah, man. It's like, man, don't throw shade on the guy, man. Come on, y'all. That I mean, the guy gonna talk about his ex-wife. I mean, what that got to do with the conversation today?
Yeah, Ryan, they have to bring it up.
Now I'll say this, man. You know, like, yeah, it look a little stagey. You know, the relationship looks a little stagey.
Yeah.
I watched the game the other night, and they took in the Nuggets game.
Jay say Jokic didn't know who she was because you know he don't listen to American music, so he knew Russell, but he didn't know who Sierra was.
Yeah, so I don't know, but man, hey man, you can't play a hate, man. Just
No.
I mean, you know what? If he hell we. I don't see anything wrong with being square. If you can make money being square, hey, it's fine. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, well, what's the difference? Thug and square?
Yeah, those are the two archetypes. And it's all, and the reason that it's even an issue and it's even talked about is because it's been something that's been going on in the black community for a long time. And it not just in our community, it's the bad boy thing. No matter what race or woman it is, you know, they gravitate towards, some of them, not all, of course, gravitate towards the bad boys. The dudes can't do nothing for them and stuff like that because they want to have fun. Like they say, girls just want to have fun. Now, she realized her mistake, and after she realized her mistake, I mean, if she was going to find a partner, if she was going to find a father figure, a stepfather for her son to come in and bring system, order, and structure and to make her an honest woman, props to her. Russell Wilson checks all the boxes, you know? So I, got no issue with that. It's just that, the whole square and corny thing, dude, it's not a bad thing to be that. There's nothing wrong with being square and corny and weird or anything like that. Like those dudes make like Elon Musk. Like Elon Musk is weird as I don't know what. But dude, the dude is paid. Same with Bezos, Zuckerberg. Those are kind of weird guys, man. They square, they kind of corny, lame looking, but they make the world go round.
But Brandon, I used to watch those reality shows. I used to watch the shit. I can't even think the name of the show from New York. But man, I done seen what thug is.
Mm-hmm.
And the definitions of being a thug don't mean happiness,
Right.
Because usually when you find a thug, you're gonna find a partner's a thug too, and then those two thugs gonna be, it's a clash. It's a collation of attitudes. It's a collation that you don't tell me I'm gonna do it this way. What's the reality show with Stevie J in it?
Oh, what's that? Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah, and what was his what was a young lady that he had?
Oh, you talking about Jocelyn?
Jocelyn.
Mm-hmm. They were something else.
Yeah, they was.
Stevie.
And there's some other ones on that show where the thug. I mean, come on, man. Just beauty is the eye of the beholder, and maybe her past. I always say this, man. You have to experience relationship. You can't go through, and I hope I don't get chastised for this, but I really feel it. I mean, you can't go through middle school, high school, college, and you think that you know everything about relationships because you only been with one girl through all those periods. In order to know if relationships and people, you're gonna have to find one to hurt you.
Yeah. You're gonna have to go through it.
Or you're gonna have to find you just can't just have one girlfriend your whole life and feel that you know it.
And you can't forget that Sierra had went through it, but remember Russell did too. The details of his previous marriage and what happened allegedly with his former teammate Golden Tate and his wife, getting it in or whatever. He got hurt. I'm sure that he was blindsided by that. I'm sure, and he had to move on and end up finding Sierra. Now the thing is that some guys look at it as, well, she's only with Russell for money because she's just going to use him for his money. And once the money's gone and the fame's gone and she's going to leave, well, we're going to get to find that out because Russell's on the back nine of his career. And the divorce statistics for athletes is abysmal to begin with. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to put much stock into it if they don't make it, because that's just what happens with athletes. 80% of them get divorced 3 years out of the league. That's just what it is, you know? So, but, you know, it's just fodder for them to talk about something, because this has been going on forever. They've been talking about this since they got together and whatnot. And, you know, women are saying, no, we like the Russells. And dudes are like, yeah, you like them when they older and they got money. You don't like them. You call those dudes weird. You call them corny. And when he say corny, square, and lame, black women, and well, not just black women, but women in general would say that about a guy like a Russell, like when Russell was in high school or college before he became a quarterback. So those things have happened, but it's not all. It's not one cookie cutter where everybody has to be this same thing, and that same thing, man. You know.
Well, I use this example. You know, when you get about say when you get about 38, there's a reason why you don't wear cornrows, you know.
Yeah, you grow up a bit, man.
You grow out of it, you know. So you know, when you get older, the thug life leaves you, man. You're just like, you know, it's time to like settle down. You know, you don't have to go drink Patron and and be in the you know, be at the bar. You know, you appreciate life more. And then you gotta set, you know, when you get older, you gotta set an example for your kids, man. You can't be like the
Yes.
You know, so Rose are getting older, you know, and be real about it, you know. Sierra is Sierra, man. You know, I mean, she's like Hollywood, you know.
Yeah, she's an entertainer. Yeah.
You know, and she's not like Holly Berry Hollywood, you know. She
Yeah. You know, so hey, she has some questionable things she put out on social media. You know, things that, you know, as far as me, I'm like, I don't know if I want my wife to do that, but hey, it is what it is. He's fine with it. She's fine with it. They're living their life. He was minding his business, and then here this come. I know they're just like, they're sick of it at this point. I know they are.
Man, yeah, they sick of like, man, like they looking like they want them two to break up or something, man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, man.
Somewhere and let them, you know, we gotta live life, man. You know,
Yeah.
So I leave it at that.
Gotta live life. So yeah, we're gonna leave it right there. We're gonna go on to our next topic. And so Ray Horton and Steve Wilkes joined Brian Flores' discrimination lawsuit against the NFL. So I knew more coaches were going to join. I thought more would have joined before now, but these two are significant, especially former Arizona head coach Steve Wilkes and longtime defensive assistant Ray Horton. They joined Brian Flores' plaintiffs in the former Miami Dolphins coach discrimination lawsuit against the NFL. And an amendment complaint filed Thursday and obtained by USA Today Sports. Horton alleges the Tennessee Titans interviewed him for their head coaching vacancy in 2016, despite having already promised the job to interim head coach Mike Mularkey. Wilkes, meanwhile, claims he was unfairly and discriminatorily fired by the Cardinals in 2018 after just one season at the helm. See, when Coach Flores filed this action, I knew I owed it to myself and to all the black NFL coaches and aspiring coaches to stand with him. Wilkes, who is now the defensive pass game coordinator and secondary coach for the Carolina Panthers, said in a statement, "This lawsuit has shed further important light on a problem that we all know exists, but that too few are willing to confront." Say the amended complaint also included new allegations that the Houston Texans and Dolphins have retaliated against Flores in the 2+ months since he's first filed the suit against the league. The Cardinals, Texans, and Titans generally denied the key claims made against them in a series of statements. Thursday, a Dolphins spokesperson did not immediately reply to a message from USA Today Sports. The NFL declined comment through spokesperson Brian McCarthy. The league has previously pledged to defend itself against claims in Flores' suit, saying they are without merit. And so, the addition of two plaintiffs and specific allegations of discrimination against the three or more teams marks a significant expansion of Flores' original suits, which attorney Douglas Wigder and John Ella Fataricus, I guess that's how he said, filed in federal court in New York on February 1st. Flores, who was fired by the Dolphins earlier this year, has alleged the NFL and its teams engaged in systematic racial discrimination in their hiring and firings of minority coaches. Okay, so, and it's a little bit more they talk about it, but I just wanted to focus on them joining the suit. And, I thought more would have joined by now, but I think we'll see it slowly but surely. And guys probably gathered their evidence and gathered, whatever they needed for this. Ray Horton, that's something that Mike Mularkey pretty much had it in the bag, and he must have proof that it was already promised to Mike Mularkey, and he found out afterwards.
Yeah, I think Mularkey went on record and said that they had offered him the job before.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I mean, he went on the record and said it. And yeah, I mean, I only thing I can add to that, I know that I know for sure that it exists. I mean, we look in the Jaguars. You don't think that they already knew that they were going to hire Urban Meyer before they interviewed those other candidates? I mean,
Right.
That job was already offered, man. It was just a formality that they had to go through the Rooney Rule to get those other interviews. But man, that stuff happens, man. The league, and we talked about this a week ago, got a long ways to go to address diversity in the coaching ranks. No. I mean, to me, I think they should make that the number one issue. And as we went last week, that just throwing a token, okay, we'll fix it by adding a new offensive position. That's still not going to change. That's not going to mandate a team to hire a coach or put someone in line to get a coaching job based on that decision. It's the decision based on, okay, we got a lot of negative publicity about racial hiring, not hiring enough black coaches. So we got to do something. So let's so we can take that. And I think that's been the biggest problem in the NFL. I think the NFL do things to take the focus away for right now, and we'll deal with this at another date. And they've been doing that for 30 years.
Yes. Yeah, they keep moving the goalposts. That's all. And Steve Wilkes, he has a case too, because man, look what happened. Look what they did. You gave him nothing to work with. What was that? Rosen was the rookie quarterback coming in, one tumultuous season, and then you fired him. And you fired him because you got the number one pick again. You were going to Kyler Murray was at the top of the draft, and what's the head coach of the Cardinals? Man, I can't think his name. Oh man, how does that leave me?
The guy from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, no. The Cardinals head coach. Golly, I can't. I'm letting it. Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury. That's it. So Cliff Kingsbury, he always wanted to work with Kyler Murray, and that once they, I guess, I'm pretty certain before Steve Wilkes was probably fired, that offer to Kingsbury was already probably in hand.
Yeah. You talking about a Queensbury who was coming off back-to-back losing seasons at Texas Tech.
Yes.
But
he coached had no experience.
He was qualified to coach with no NFL experience. And I mean that's the problem right there, man. It's just I don't know this for sure. I haven't researched it, but I'm sure there's a relationship at that time between the Cardinals GM and Queensbury.
Yeah.
Maybe they connected in somehow or another or something, but I'm guaranteed that GM had a connection with Queensbury.
Oh, absolutely.
To make that decision. And then they just threw Wilkes. They just, okay, it's time for you to go. And I don't know the right word to say. I hope, but it's a problem, man. I mean, it's if there's been any NFL coach that's black who's feel that that went to an interview and just felt that it's just a token interview, should probably be in that lawsuit.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you got to expose the problem before it becomes a situation that get rectified. You know, because if not, it's just going to be business as usual. It's going to be the same thing next year. It's going to be the same thing the year after that. So change is hard, man. Sometimes you have to take a side that everybody don't agree to, and you got to suffer the
Yeah.
consequences. And I commend anybody, particularly Flores, to put that suit out, to really just say enough is enough. And obviously he put his career on the line with it. And
Yep.
if that lawsuit hadn't been out, and if they would have had still Mike Tomlin as the only black head coach, we wouldn't even be talking about this subject.
Right.
It'll just be okay. How who
It
if
is
the
what it
Rams
is.
gonna repeat again in the Super Bowl and the cycle? That narrative would not be pushed by the NFL. It wouldn't be pushed by the Rappaports or any of that. So I commend Flores because it's true. I mean, look at the record.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say that I would agree with you that they had some type of connection to Kingsbury, because we're not talking about the Cardinals haven't been a dumpster fire. They've been a pretty well run organization for the last probably decade to decade and a half. They've had their ups and downs. They made the playoffs. They made a Super Bowl run, but from top to bottom, it seems like the organization is ran pretty well.
Yeah.
And for them to fire a Steve Wilkes and not have anything else in hand, not knowing what direction they're going, I don't think they did that. I don't think they was like, oh, he got to go, then we'll figure out what we're going to do. No, they figured out what they were going to do. And then they were like, you know what? Yeah, Steve Wilkes has to go after they figured out what they wanted to do.
And you see, and this is why, and I think I read this in a story. Wilkes said that, okay, if you would have kept me on and we would have drafted the quarterback and put all these pieces together, I would have won with the group too.
Yeah.
I
Look at the group they just built. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would have won if you would have allowed me to continue my job. And that's the thing, man. It's just the window is too short for black coaches. It's like they don't. You go through a rough patch. For the life of me, I still can't understand Miami's situation. When you look at Flores, I mean, you look at the fact that they had 2 winning seasons, and just by the luck of things, they didn't make playoffs, but they had a winning season. He won like 7 in a row. They lost 7 in a row, but he won 7 in a row. And it's a hell of a lot harder to come back off a losing streak and go on a winning streak at the end of the season. So, I mean, and then out of all the, Black Monday or whatever you want to call it, out of all the firings, that one still puzzled me. Like, man, what and the first thing I said, like, what the hell are they thinking?
Yeah. Yeah.
5 coaches
What are they thinking?
Won 11 games.
Yeah.
And had a winning season the season before. For what?
Yeah. And that's what we talked about this before too. Lovie Smith taking that Texans job. I don't like him taking the Texans job.
No, I don't either.
They setting him up to fail.
Well, they should have kept the guy that was there. I mean, what's the difference between Lovey and
Cully and Cully? Yeah. So
it's that'll be the first fire. He can't. They'll win 4 games and then they'll say that I mean, that's what I'm talking about, man. When we got an opportunity, a black coach got an opportunity to be a head coach, he got to go take the worst situation out there, which is Houston.
Yeah.
To be honest, with Houston in a worse shape than Jacksonville. And it'll probably take them 2, almost 3 years to repair the talent. They got draft picks. They got that. But it'll take 3 years. It'll 3 years in before that program get back to being respectable and winnable.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's going to take some time, man. But you know,
Lovey won't be there when they get good. Lovey won't be there.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, we'll see what else shakes out with this. I think more coaches are going to join this over time, and you know, it's going to continue to grow. I don't know what the solution is going to be to it and what effective change is going to come out of it, but I know one thing: don't fall for what they've given so far, because it's not enough. It's not enough. What they're talking about adding every team is required to hire a minority or woman candidate for an offensive staff position. No, that's not good enough.
But you know what I say, Brandon? I think we I think we got to have a real serious look at race in this country. I mean, I'm not just talking sports. I'm talking about just about everything. I'm talking about a conversation where opposite sides ain't gonna like what opposite sides are speaking about each other. They gotta be more dialogue on racial relations in this country, because they're about at the all-time low, and it's about as bad as it was in the 60s. And I know we hadn't been rioting and picketing on the streets, but we're only 2 years removed from that. And when you're talking about coaching, we want to stick to sports. Then look at what's happening. I don't think there's enough black coaches in college football, to be honest. I don't think there's enough black coaches at our state universities. You know, you got the biggest university in the state, University of Florida. How many black coaches they got at University of Florida that's not been interim? Don't even get interviewed.
Yeah.
They just hired a basketball coach just out of the door. You know?
Yeah.
And those are the things that's got to be discussed. And it's not just NFL. It's just like, okay, I always go by the premise that you go out and you hire the best qualified, best person for the job. You know?
Yeah.
Does that really happen? No. You know, then they'll talk about, well, we looked at what's the best fit. We looked at what's compatible for us. We looked at, you know, like what are we more comfortable with? You know, they throw all those little things into it, but it ain't what like qualified. It's like what are we comfortable with? And those colleges are just as bad as these NFL teams, man. Those owners, until those owners change in the NFL, till they get more, until they make diversity a priority, then it's not going to change. And the same thing in this country. You know, it's like, if you qualified, you know, that's what they tell us. You know, you can be anything you want to be, as long as you put the effort and you be successful. And when it comes to coaching, if you're successful at a level, and you shouldn't be 10 years at the same level and don't get promoted.
Yeah.
So there's a problem. It's a problem in the workforce in this country, where, you know, an African American person can be on the job for 20 years and nobody see it but the person on the job. You know, don't get no promotion, don't get a raise. And then when they start, you know, complaining, then the management has a problem.
Yeah, yes, and then when those labels come out, you know, not a team player, you know, aggressive, belligerent, you know, things like that. You know, but it's the same old story. It's just been repackaged and sold over and over and over again. You know, and one of the ways to combat this is ownership, man. Ownership. You need ownership.
That's the hardest problem, is the ownership, and the fact that nobody want to own it. Nobody want to have a discussion. It's not the right time. When is the right time? I mean, you hear that all the time. Like, It's not the right time to have a discussion. You know, you see a lot of people, you have to go move out of state to another job because they sitting at the same one where they not moving.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, those are the facts, and it ain't just NFL. It's just the NFL is just the most visible out there. But you know, you shouldn't have to go to Atlanta, Georgia, to feel comfortable.
Right.
You know, which a lot of people do. They move on to Atlanta, places like that, DC, because they feel they have a better chance in the workforce than say a Jacksonville. And it shouldn't be that way, man. Every place in this country, whether it's Delta in Atlanta or Delta in Tampa, every black man should be, a black woman should be treated on equal footing. They should be treated just what the law say. Judge them on their ability, not on. I don't know if it'd be a good fit.
Right.
You know, all those opinionated evaluations instead of just the fact. Let me look at the resume. 10 years here, 5 years here, promoted here, this, that. Oh yeah. You know, just like that. It's the same thing with coaches.
Yeah, it's like when they talk about their process and how they do things and how they came to the conclusions they came to. Well, this is math class. Can you show your work? How did you come to this conclusion? I would really like to know. How do you? Because you keep coming to the same conclusion over and over again. So maybe it needs to change. It needs to change. You know, but like I say, real change is not going to happen until we prioritize ownership and owning things. The thing about it was owning things is when somebody owns something and they look like me, they're more likely to hire me. That's just what it is. That's what they say. That's one of the excuses that they use is that, well, they're hiring the people that look like them because that's what they're more comfortable with. Okay, well, that's the formula, isn't it? All right, make your own. Okay, you hate the fact that the Oscars didn't. Well, they called it Oscar so white in 2016 because it was too white. Okay, did you make your own Oscars? No. Jim Jones was in the Gucci store crying because he wasn't getting the service he thought he should have got, and he done spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe up to millions of dollars in the Gucci store, and they treated him a certain way. He didn't like it, and he crying on live talking about how they treat him. Do you think Jim Jones went and made his own apparel store and treated people how he thought that they should be treated? No. So nothing is going to change. Nothing's going to get done when you just sit back and I demand, I want. It's not going to work, man. We got to get something going.
Yep. Gotta take a stand. That's go back to Brian Flores. That's taking a stance.
Yeah. Build your own, man. That's all you gotta do. Build your own. Hey, build your own and they will come, man. You know, one thing about it, our people got the money. May not be managing it well, but we have the money. Whatever your endeavor is, whatever you want to do, black people interested in it, especially black women, it's going to take off because they're going to spend the money. Build something. That's all you have to do. Build something to cater to your people. Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. We're going to leave it right there. And, we'll get into this story real quick, and then we'll go into a little Jags, and we'll finish up with some basketball. But I don't know if you heard about this, but Grambling State's volleyball coach, women's volleyball coach, cut the entire team. They just hired her, and she cut the whole team. Yeah, she cut every player from the team. See, there she go right there. Okay, she's not okay. That's a nice looking sister right there. Yeah. See, in an unprecedented move, a college volleyball coach cut an entire team of players. According to KSLA, a newly hired head volleyball coach at Grambling State University made a roster change that caught everyone, especially the players, off guard. After notifying the administration that she would make changes, she cut all 19 current players from the volleyball team. Grambling State University's new head coach, Chelsea Lucas, was hired to guide the team in February. She informed all 19 players individually earlier this week on April 4th. Say the decision is her decision to make, and she's got some quality players coming on board. I think 14 to 15 coming on board at some point. So in terms of things, I hate to say out with the old, but in with the new a little bit. The GSU Athletics Communications Director Brian Howard said, obviously, we don't want them to be cut or lose their scholarship or whatever that might be or whatever that might look like. At the end of the day, Coach Lucas has a goal, has a vision. We have a goal as an institution and a vision as well to win. That's the first and foremost. See, Sports Illustrated has reported that Lucas, 2007 Grambling alum, spent 6 seasons and 2 other with the Southwestern Athletic Conference programs. Okay, just talking about her accomplishments. But this, I've never heard anything like this before. And this is very telling to me because what this says to me is Coach Lucas was like, yo, I can't do nothing with none of this. It's all got to go. Hey, administration, look, we got to throw the baby out with the bathwater, blow it up, and we have to start it over because she cut everybody.
Wrong. I mean, you know what, Brandon? I'm tired of seeing Grambling getting the wrong, look like all the wrong news.
Yeah.
You know, they hired
because they were just in the news.
Yeah, with the offensive coordinator used to be at Baylor. You get a volleyball coach. I mean, come on now. You're gonna really cut the whole 19 volleyball scholarship players for what? To put what? Attention to the program that's negative? There's no way in the world that every girl on that volleyball team don't live up to what she wants. Yeah. I mean, I haven't know what the breakdown is, who's freshmen. There's probably some on the team that hadn't played a lot, but you're going to tell me that you looked at every night, all 19 players, and they can't benefit your program. I think that's more self-serving than reality. That's what I think. I think here's a coach coming in who's I believe she's a graduate of Grambling, correct?
Yeah, 2007.
Yeah, 2007. Want to make a big splash. And what bigger splash you can make than cutting all 19 girls? I mean, let's come on, man. That don't happen. It shouldn't happen. And show some compassion that it ain't just about the volleyball team. You just took away scholarships from 19 young ladies. I mean, come on. What commitment that they done to I'm surely they gave service to the university and don't deserve that treatment. So she's gonna go out and recruit 19 new players and put 19 new players on scholarship. And
she got 14 to 15 already, they said. So,
does she? So
yeah.
Okay, so so you think that I think that their record wouldn't be any better with the 14 that she done recruited than the 19 that she had. You know, I don't anticipate that any new coach come in that all 19 scholarship players will be there. But never in my life have I heard of a coach that's get cut the whole team. I mean, come on, man.
yeah. And I said that I was like, so there were no veterans that you could have brought back, some seniors and juniors, because you're going to need veteran leadership. So none of those veterans that were on the roster were worth keeping around. I was like, man, I don't know about that.
The bigger question is cutting the young players, because the young players hadn't really showed. You know, I'm sure you're not.
That too.
Whoever was the coach the year before wasn't throwing freshmen out there playing. They might have been on scholarship, but they're not starters. So you're going to tell me that the whole program and the long-term players are not good enough for this coach. I gotta say, I just think it's more splash than anything. And I mean, I just don't like to see that at Grambling, man. Grambling got enough issues, man. They don't need all the negative publicity from a coach who does something that no other coach in the country may not have ever done. I've never heard of this. I've never heard of a new coach come into a program and cut all. First of all, I didn't even think that you can cut scholarship players.
I didn't either. I didn't know you could do that. Not like that.
Yeah. So
I knew some of them got cut, but not like en masse, like the whole team.
Yeah, the whole team. Now there's some coaches come in new and they might, they'll go.
Yeah, they trim the fat.
Yeah, they'll tell a few players it might be your best interest to go look for somewhere else to play and go into the transfer portal. But I read that story. Like she went and had a meeting with all 19 players, and she met with all 19 and told them that you're gonna have to go somewhere else and play.
Man, yeah.
Grambling don't need that news, man. Don't need that. I mean, I got an attachment with Grambling, and that's just not the way to go about things, man.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I don't know. We'll see. Now, this is a splash to her career, starting her career. This is definitely a splash, and she's going to be under a microscope because of this. She's put a target on her back, just starting out, because now I'm sure that those players and their families are very upset. No doubt about it.
Well, I say this: Southern University probably take about 10 of them.
Oh yeah. You and this thing you said, even with the veterans, but what you said about the young players, there are players on that roster, I'm sure, that you don't know what you have, and you just cut them. Oh, don't need them, and you don't know what they are. You don't know what they're going to develop into.
Well, another thing, Brandon, that's not how you establish relationships with coaches around the state. You don't. High school coaches will directly tell their players, even though you said she's got 14. She'll have a hard time recruiting, because what young lady want to go to Grambling and this is what they're going to be hearing for the next couple of years, that this is the coach who cut all 19 scholarship players. Do you really want to go there? And that's how the word is spread around the coaches, that they will not advise their players to go to a program, because they might have had one. They might have had a young lady at that high school, went to Grambling on scholarship, and they're not going to direct their player to even entertain a scholarship offer there. So those are the things what I'm talking about, man. You can't just come in and it looks, publicity wise, they got publicity 2 days ago, but the long term, it might be a problem. The SWAC is a competitive league, man, and every SWAC volleyball coach is going to use that against Grambling.
Yeah,
like I said, I just think she did that just for a big splash, but not looking like not looking at the long term or anything, and just, man, like I said, I never heard of that.
Yeah, and I didn't know coaches mudsling the way they do.
Yeah, they do.
They will throw other coaches, especially if you're in competition for the same recruits. They're going to throw the other coach under the bus cleanly. And so, what's stopping the other teams in the SWAC, the other HBCUs, saying, "Hey, oh, you interested in Grambling?" Well, she cut her whole team when she first showed up.
Exactly. And when Grambling competing against in that area, they got Southern, they got Jackson State, and Texas Southern. They all recruit in that same, in Louisiana and in that area. And man, in the SWAC, man, SWAC coaches can be very
yeah.
You talking about throwing under the bus?
Mm-hmm.
They probably already on the phone. You see what you never. And then some of them align with high school coaches, where there's no way a high school coach is going to allow their player to go up there. So not a smart move. It gives the program news. They're in the news for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. So I was just when I saw it, I was like, man, I've never heard this before. So we definitely got to talk about that. But we're gonna leave it right there. We're gonna get into a little bit of this Jags, and one thing up there was the draft, and the constant talk around Cam Robinson right now. I've been seeing more about Cam Robinson and how supposedly signing him to that, franchising him, has no impact on how they're going to draft. And has he signed his franchise tag yet? I don't think he signed it yet.
Hadn't signed it.
Yeah.
I went on Twitter, and I'm going to say this again on your show, man. I think the fans of Jacksonville got to understand what the situation is with Cam Robinson. So I'm going to say it. The team want him. The team like him. The team want to sign him to a long-term deal. They've been wanting to sign him to a long-term deal since last season. You know, it wasn't just the plan was to just put him on a franchise tag. The plan was to sign him to an extension before the July 15th deadline. Same plan, new coach, same plan. The problem that I see, and what I put on Twitter is that I don't know if he want to be here. You know, to be real about it, the courtship is with the Jags, but I don't know if he want. You know, I don't know if the feelings are mutual. You know, I mean, I see a Cam Robinson who's basically saying, "You guys have denied me an opportunity to be a free agent." You know, I almost look at this situation that is almost similar to Yannick, but it's you know, he's not gonna go on Twitter. I mean, he's a professional, so he's not gonna be that guy to go on Twitter and demand a trade and do all those kind of things. But you know, to be honest, for him not to sign the franchise tag now, and I don't believe if he's not signing it now, I don't think he's going to sign it before April the 28th. So it's sort of put the franchise in a bind because they don't know. You know, I think they should draft a tackle if they know if they go into the draft and they don't have assurances that Cam is going to either sign the extension or even want to play on the franchise tag for 1 year, then they gotta make a choice. I mean, you can't be in a position where you got a hole at left guard and you're might have one at left tackle.
Yeah.
So it might come to the point where you might have to draft a Evan Neal or Iwanu. But people think, you know, the argument is this, that people feel that, okay, Aiden Hutchinson, for the life of me, some people think this guy going to be this superstar that's going to have
that's how they talking.
14, 15 sacks a year. And he's an edge rusher, which somebody told me the other day, which is more important than a left guard or a left tackle.
No.
So
no, not at all. No. I can make edge rusher is more important than getting a guard. I would say. I would definitely say you want to get you a top-notch edge rusher. That position is more valued over guard. But as far as tackle, that's the guy who's paid to stop the edge rusher. He's just as important. Come on, man.
But look, if you know, either one of the guys, if they're Wanu, I think that's how I pronounce his name, and Neil, if they play guard for 1 year and move them to left tackle for the rest of their career, then I don't have a problem drafting either one of them with that number 1 pick.
Right.
Is nobody has told me from assurances the only thing I done got from the Jags, they like Cam Robinson. We want to get a long-term deal done. They got until July the 15th to get a deal done. If not, then Cam is going to play under the tag for the rest of the year. And he will become a free agent this time because you can't tag him 3 years in a row. And he will go on the open market as a free agent in 23.
Yeah.
And I think the fans of the Jaguars got to come in they got to come in this realization or reality that maybe Cam doesn't want to be here. Maybe Cam is like, you know, I'm hesitant about signing any long-term deal with you guys, you know, or either that or he want money in a range that they're not comfortable paying him. And it's got to get to a point, man, where well, this got to get resolved. You know, they're not going to be able
Yeah.
to figure it out on April the 28th, and he has until July the 15th to get a deal done. So they can't. You got to make a decision on April the 28th on the direction that you want to go, and that's when the basically this is where I see it. If they don't get a deal done with Cam between 9 to 28th, which I think is unlikely, then that's telling the Jaguars right there that we got to do something now. We can't wait. We can't just we don't draft a left tackle to put ourselves to have some assurances that we need. We got Walker Little, but we're probably going to play Walker Little at right tackle, or at least compete at right tackle.
Yeah.
So the Jaguars can't wait until July the 15th to make a decision on what they need to do in the draft. They didn't address the situation in free agency, not at that position. And they gotta. I think that's one of the decisions that's going to weigh in on how they draft at number one. They gotta come to a conclusion where they're going to have to make an estimation that, do you think that we can sign him between now and the July 15th? And if we don't think we can, then we got to do something. We got to draft a tackle, basically.
Yeah. It's going to be like musical chairs. The music is going to stop, and you're going to be without a chair. Because if you don't, like you say, if you don't get this deal done, you got to make provisions now. And what better way, dude? I don't think there are any tackles slated to be what Neal and Owanu supposed to be slated to be. Right. So you want to get a tackle? Go ahead, get one of these guys now. Because, dude, Aiden Hutchinson, even Thibodeau at this point, pass rusher is not as important as solidifying left tackle is right now. It's not. It is important, but you need to protect Trevor.
And you know what, Brandon? I say this, man. I mean, I don't fault Cam Robinson. I mean, he's been here since 2017. He was the second round pick in 2017. Most of the guys that he came in with in this organization during that season are gone. They're gone. So what makes him different? You know what I'm saying? What makes him different that he don't want to test the market? He don't want. Do you not think that he's not thinking that maybe he wants a new chapter? They wanted DJ Chark. They said it publicly. We wanted him back. He didn't want to come back. Yeah. He would rather take a 1 year, $10 million prove-it contract to go to Detroit just to start a new chapter.
And that speaks volumes.
And something telling me I'm not going to overlook that maybe Cam want the same thing. He just don't have the same opportunity because the last 2 years he's been franchise tag. And he still hadn't signed the franchise tag. Which I don't understand that, because it doesn't change the leverage of it's not going to stop the Jaguars from considering drafting a left tackle if he doesn't sign the franchise tag. It's not going to change if he signs it tomorrow. It's still they still have an opportunity to throw that out the window and sign him to a long-term deal. If you go on his social media, I don't see him saying anything about the new guys that they brought in. I don't see anything he praising about the Doug Peterson. I don't see any of those things on his social media page where he's praising this franchise.
Well, at least he didn't do the Deebo Samuel and Kyler Murray.
No.
Yeah. Where you take all traces of your team and delete them off your social, which is so silly that today's athletes do that. That, and it's passive aggressive. That's all it is. It's passive aggressive, and it's a way to get people talking. Just like Deebo Samuel, it's a way to get people talking. And a lot of times, all they doing is is they're archiving the photos. They're not deleting them because all you gotta do is archive it, and then people can't see it anymore. You can still see it, but other people can't. That's all they're doing. They're not deleting those photos, man, because it's gonna be right back. But like Cam, for example, Cam, I highly doubt that Cam would like take a hard line stance and like sit out if it came to the Jaguars.
He's not gonna do that.
And he can't. I don't think he can afford to sit out. He can't afford to miss a season. He can't.
Well, he's not gonna miss $16.5 million.
Right.
Definitely not gonna do that. But he knows, hey, it's in my court that if I want to play, I can play one more season with these guys and move on to free agency. And I put $16.5 million in the bag. He knows that. His agent knows that. And I don't know what they're offering him. I don't know what. All we know, they could be offering him $20 million a year, and he's still not budging.
Yeah.
But we don't know that. But man, you could tell when it ain't hard to understand when a guy is not. He's not feeling it. Put it that way. He's not. He's just going through the motions. He's not asking to be traded. There are negotiations going on, but there's no movement. There's no, it's just stagnant, and that's where it's at. The same guy who was in the negotiations a year ago is the same guy negotiating with his agent now. So if you look at what the negotiations been, you talking what? About 13 months now that they've actually been trying to work on something with him.
Yep.
So that's how I see it. And they gotta this league where you can't wait on people, man. You can't focus all your attention on Cam Robinson, and then you got the possibility of adding a piece to replace him. And then you sit stagnant waiting on Cam, and then that's been one of the problems with the franchise. You just you're waiting on something, and something else happens, and then you don't have a B plan. So
yeah,
I hope that ain't the case, but I think Aiden Hutchinson will be. I said this on Twitter. I think he'd be a good player. I don't see him as a perennial all-pro player. I see him as a good player. I don't see him 8 years from now that he's making his sixth consecutive all-pro bid. I don't see that type of player in him.
Yeah. No, I don't either. And with Cam, and then we're gonna move on. With deadlines get deals done too. So how shocked would you be is at the late midnight hour, right before the clock strikes 12 on the day it's supposed to get done, they all of a sudden strike up a deal?
No, I wasn't not shocked, but what I'm saying is I don't think that deal going to get done on the 28th of this month.
Right.
And it's more important to get it done now than later because they got a decision to make. Once they make the decision on draft night on the 28th, they're basically saying one way or the other with about this situation with Cam. Because if you draft Evan Neal, you don't need to sign him to a long-term contract.
Right.
There's no need to sign him. You go on and play. You can't. You could take back the franchise tag and then put him on the trading block like they did with Yard. But they gotta make a decision. You can't. What are they gonna do once you get to July the 15th and they sign it on the dotted line? Yeah, I think it can happen. But if it don't happen, you got what? May, June, July? You got 3 months. So what are you gonna do if it don't happen? When you had an opportunity to make a call on that. I think the decision got to be made now. I don't think as a franchise they can wait unless they know that they can get a deal done. But why would you have to wait till July the 15th if you know you can get a deal done with them? And why not just get it done now? If they already know it, then that's on them. That they feel confident that they can get a deal done, then more power to them. But that question gonna get asked on draft night. That's a question that has to be asked. I mean, how far along are you with the negotiation? And if you draft one of those tackles, there's no need. You have no more need to extend him a long term deal.
Yeah. I'm with you, man. So we'll see how this shakes out. I think it was a wide receiver I saw. One of the guys where they say that I don't know if he's projected to go first. I seen second round for some. Chance he may be there at 33, but I think it's Traylon Burks.
Yeah,
wide receiver. They have him as the second highest graded wide receiver since 2020 by Pro Football Focus in all of college football. The only wide receiver graded higher than him was Devontae Smith, the Eagles' first round pick. Yeah, he graded at a 92.8, and I think Devontae was like a 95 point something. So that's still going to be interesting to watch. They still what's up with running back before we move on? What's going on? They need running back. I know you need running back.
Yeah, well, hopefully they get one in the third round. I actually like the guy from Florida, to be honest. I can't think of Garner. What is his name?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
he was good in the Senior Bowl. But yeah, that's a position you got to address because they're not saying it, but there's a possibility that James Robinson could sit out the whole year. You know, I know
with that Achilles.
Yeah, Doug Peterson kind of speculated that they don't expect him to, take part in anything until training camp, for the start of training camp. And Etienne will be back for OTAs, which start on the 11th, this week coming up. But I don't know, man. They got that's a need. That's a need position. That your two top guys coming back from injuries, and there's no. I mean, James Robinson could miss the season, could miss half of the season, and he hadn't even, as far as I think he's still in a walking boot, so he hadn't done any physical work. I mean, to be honest, though, when you tear a Achilles tendon, it's one of the hardest injuries to come back from because you can't. There's no rehabbing it. There's no strengthening it. There's nothing. You got to stay off of it. And some guys, to be honest, for some it could be career ending. It could be. Now surgery is much better than what it was you can do laser surgery, so you don't have to go cut in and take out tendons and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like Achilles injuries used to. It was pretty much the end of NBA careers.
Yeah.
It wasn't until Kevin Durant. Dominique Wilkes was the only player to make an All-Star game after tearing his Achilles. Yep. Kevin Durant just did it. So they're the only two players that have ever done it. So yeah, and you are right about that. Damian Pierce is who you're thinking about.
Yeah, Damian, the running back.
Yeah, I like Damian Pierce. I do. He was toting the mail on Alabama. He definitely was.
Yeah, the biggest problem with Florida, they should have gave him more. They should have worked him more, man. The guy got
yeah.
And another thing about him is he's a great pass block. I mean, he can pick up blitzes very well. I mean, he's a good guy that can, as far as protection, good power runner. He had a great Senior Bowl. Senior Bowl practices. I don't know how much he performed in the game, but he definitely was a standout during those practices. And I hope maybe that'd be somebody that they eyeing, that they can grab up in the third or fourth round. I think you don't need to probably go any higher in the third or the fourth to get a running back, but that's one of the possibilities, definitely.
Yeah.
And Texas A&M got a good one too. That's available.
Oh yeah. I can't think of the dude's name, but I know who you're talking about. But we're gonna leave it right there. We're gonna get into some of this basketball, and then we're gonna get up out of here, man.
That
Yeah,
NBA boy.
yeah. And one of the things I
No.
want to talk about was so LeBron's legacy. I've been hearing all this talk about his legacy and his time in LA and how it's a failure and all of these things and I'm like, before this stint in LA, his legacy was already solidified. Like this doesn't change anything for me or my opinion on him. Whether I think he's the greatest or whether I think he's second or third or wherever you had him ranked, you shouldn't have him ranked lower than where he was before. This doesn't stop anything. Come on, so this is like the Jordan with the Wizards. Jordan, that didn't put a stain on Jordan's career. It didn't make him less or whatever. He was older or whatever. But LeBron James, number one, is 37 years old, and I think it's only been 5 players that ever averaged 30 over 30 years old, and 32 was the highest age until he did it at 37. It's very clear he's still one of the greatest players on the planet, but he's older. He can't do it like he used to. He can't carry you like he used to. But the talk of his legacy being tainted, really, his time in LA is a success because he brought him a championship. So people were saying this. So, and I'm gonna let you go. Well, if LeBron's time in LA was a failure, what is Kawhi and Paul George's time in the Clipperland? Is that not a failure? Kevin Durant currently with the Brooklyn Nets. This is a failure. By all the metrics that we're talking, if LeBron James' times in LA was a failure, those guys' time where they are is a failure as well.
Yeah, you're right. And you also can't take away that he still won a championship. Even though it was in the bubble, you might asterisk or whatever. But he still won a title with the Lakers. And I agree with you. Look, man, he's 37 years old. He done won in Cleveland. He done won in Miami. He just, there's no tarnishing. The person that I think that's tarnished or tarnishing that should even maybe deserve that label is a guy like AD and maybe even Westbrook. It might be harder for Westbrook to land somewhere and make the money that he expects to make if he, whatever they decide that what they're going to do. If he go back and enter in free agency. But when you look at his performance, you look at LeBron's scoring, you look at the things that he's done, it's not LeBron's fault that the Lakers totally turned into a disaster. His durability was there. We're not writing stories about, his inability or his unavailability or he's hurt all the time like we would with AD. We're not writing about, performance like Russell Westbrook just to be honest, just stunk it up.
Yeah.
There's no narrative on that. And when he played, he's out now, obviously, but they're out. So there's no need to, at this point, what do you need to play for?
They talked about him faking the injury, and go look up the photo of him turning that ankle. The bottom of his foot isn't touching the floor; his ankle is. That's how bad the roll is.
Yeah, and the Lakers. To be honest, the Lakers they put this upon themselves, man. They had a championship caliber team. They broke it up, and they didn't get the same players in return that they allowed to leave to get Russell Westbrook. That's why they're not winning. It's got nothing to do with LeBron. You lost defenders that you needed. And then you brought guys that couldn't help it, like Trevor Ariza. I think
did he score a bucket? I don't ever remember him even being on the floor. He
was hurt the whole year. And I just don't think he's got it no more. This guy done been on 10 different teams, and I know he's been in the league more than 10 years. And the mistakes come from the front office. Now I'm sure LeBron influenced, and and wanted them to get Russell Westbrook, but that trade did not work. You gave up too many assets, and you didn't get what you hoped to get. So and then I think they got a situation that they got to really think about with AD. Because if he doesn't rise to the level of being above LeBron or somewhere there where he can lead the team and not be the Batman, the Robin, then I think they got to really think about it. You trade them, you get assets. You go get talent in return. But is this the time where you really think about it that they're paying them a fortune and they're not getting the return on the investment? And those teams in the West are not. It's almost to the point that the Lakers got to really think about the teams in the West, Memphis, particularly, Phoenix, Golden State, the Clippers, that they're looking up to about at least 5 or 6 teams in that division. That if they don't add talent soon, there's no way in the world they're gonna catch them. I don't think they can catch Phoenix anymore. I didn't think that before the season. I didn't think that last year, but I don't think they have a roster from top to bottom that's comparable to Phoenix or Memphis, to be honest. Memphis got young talent. Memphis, out of all the teams in the West, Memphis is the most scariest because Memphis can be good for the next 10 years. Easily.
Yeah, easy. They're young. They're young and they're really good now. Now the bigger thing I saw floating around too about this is that it may be time for the buses to sell the team. And I was like, I don't know about that one. A flagship franchise like that, those things stay in families. Yeah. So I'm not on board with that. I don't think it's come to that point. Give them more time to get it together because they are a flagship franchise, just like the NFL and MLB. Those leagues are better when the Yankees are good, when the Cowboys are good, and the Lakers are good. The league is better when those teams are good. So, give them some more time to figure it out. Get Pelinka out of there. Pelinka has to go. Pelinka's got to go. Frank Vogel is not going to survive this. So Frank Vogel is going to be out of here, even though I had no issue with him. But Pelinka has to go, and you got Vogel out of here. Then, figure out where you're going to go from there.
Yeah, they got to make hard roster but they got to make personnel decisions. And whoever make that Jenny Bus or who in charge, you got to get rid of Pelinka.
You got to. You got to get rid of Pelinka.
You got to. I actually thought they should have got rid of Rob Pelinka 2 years ago, to be honest.
When that whole thing with Magic leaving and it was because of Pelinka, I would have got rid of Pelinka then.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because that was a battle that he felt he was overshadowed by Magic. I think for the Lakers have that kind of dissension, and then nobody should be bigger than Magic. If you're going to be in the front office position, then you just you can't say that this was Magic decision and I didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
And then, on courting LeBron or whatever happened then, and then want to take credit. But they got to clean up the mess. And the cleaning up the mess is you got to get a front office guy who knows how to build a roster. And also, if LeBron going to be there, be strong enough that if LeBron makes suggesting other decisions to make sure that they right. Russell Westbrook decision was not a right decision for the franchise. And I always say in the league, the proof of the pudding is the record at the end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
We can't get done in 82 games. I don't need another season to sort it out that this is not working. You got 82 games. It didn't work. So they got to be strong enough to make the decision to. I mean, Russell Westbrook to me should be out of there just like Rob Pelinka.
Yeah.
He don't fit. He don't fit for the future, and he don't fit now. So then they got to go back. I think what the Lakers got to do is go back and try to build a team that they had when they won the title in the bubble. They got to get more role players. They got to get guys who can shoot from the outside. They got to get guys who can go up and down the floor and defend. They gotta. They basically got to build their team to be able to compete against a team like the Phoenix Suns who can push the pace, got 12, 13 players, he can sub in and out. They gotta have a team that can defend the 3-point line. Like you play Golden State, you gotta have perimeter defenders.
Yeah.
You can't have the Carmelos who can only do it on one end of the floor and can't do it on the other end, man. You can't have a team of names, which I think that's the Lakers right there in a nutshell. You got a team of names, and Carmelo now is not the Carmelo that played in New York.
Yeah. When I saw their issues defending the 3 early in the season, I said, man, that's going to be a problem all year. I said, because that's want to right there. And there's nothing Frank Vogel could scheme up or cook up or anything like that to defend the 3 because they were so horrid at doing it. And it was the want to. But this goes back to ego. Then we're going to go into our next one. Oh, man, young Lucky, what's going on? Yo, Lucky, always glad to see you doing well. Yo, what's up, Lucky? Hey, I'm gonna hit you up sometime tomorrow, man. We gotta chop it up. Yeah, but young Lucky, from my previous job, he was a student. I used to talk to him all the time.
All right.
Hey, you better be getting them carts in that parking lot at Winn Dixie, Lucky. Don't be out there playing games, man. But ego, man, if you pay attention to it, ego kills. It's killed every dynasty. It's killed everything that's been like most things that's put together. Ego, just look at the Jaguars. Ego killed the Jaguars. You could have built off of that 2017 season. Ego tanked it. The Lakers, the Shaq and Kobe Lakers. Ego. The Bulls. Ego. Those things, it ended dynasties prematurely. When dynasties end prematurely, it's usually because of ego. How it's supposed to end is they're supposed to get old and can't do it no more.
Mm-hmm.
But because of ego, like Pelinka has this ego, and Magic is overshadowing him. Magic is an amazing resource and asset to the franchise.
Yeah.
Why can't you use him as such?
Yeah. A guy who loves the franchise is never going to do anything to harm the franchise, man. He might make a few mistakes, but it ain't because he did it intentionally. He's a guy who loves the franchise, man. And that's like you tap into him. That's like Google. He can give you all the information you need. Just ask.
Yeah. Personable, knows the players. People love him. Charismatic. Everywhere he goes, he attracts a crowd. Come on, man. But that's the Lakers. That's what they're currently going through. That's Pelinka. They just got to get it rectified. And like you said, they got a hill to climb because the Suns ain't going nowhere for at least another couple of seasons. Yeah. The Warriors, we'll see where the Warriors are at. I think next year will be a better year, especially when it comes to injury. Hopefully Draymond and Clay and Wiseman and all of them can get it together. And we'll see with that, but that's still kind of up in the air. Utah is up in the air too because of the Donovan Mitchell so did you see a report that people were saying he's intentionally not throwing the ball down low to Gobert, and I think somebody from the organization refuted it and whatnot, and basically got mad because he didn't want to talk about it. But I seen some clips where people put together, and it does look like he's denying Rudy Gobert the ball. It kind of looked like that Baker Mayfield video when he wasn't throwing the ball to OBJ.
Yeah. No, man, those rumors are real, man. Those guys do not like each other, and it extends beyond the COVID situation. That thing with the COVID that he gave those guys the COVID, but they were having issues even before then. And I don't know, man. Another team I think that you got to watch in the West is Minnesota.
Edwards just had a 49-point game or something like that.
Yeah, 49.
49. Yeah.
And Towns is just getting, boy, man, you add the 3-point weapon on to a guy that can do anything he wants in the post.
And he getting his man body too. So he's getting a few more bricks in his back pocket.
That team is scary, man.
Yeah.
Like, what are they, like 6? I don't know. They're 6 or I don't think they in the play-in, but boy, they're going to be a tough matchup in that playoff, whoever they get.
Yeah. Let's see. So Western Conference, Minnesota's 7th right now.
7th. Okay, so they're
7th right now. They 2 games behind the Nuggets.
Yeah, how many more games? Is Sunday is it? Tomorrow is the last game of the regular.
Is it? I think it may be. I think it is. Yeah, because 51. Yeah. Because everybody looked like because the Mavericks are at 81 games. The Warriors are at 80 games. So the Warriors still got 2 games left. Yeah, so I see 1 or 2 games left for most of the teams. So yeah, so they're winding down. They're about to be done. So the West is stacked, man. So the Lakers got to make almost wholesale changes if you want to get in on this race.
Just to be competitive, just to be in the top 8. They got
Suns, Grizzlies, Mavericks, and Nuggets and Timberwolves ain't going nowhere no time soon. Nah. They're going to be good for at least the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. They just can't just say, okay, we got AD and LeBron and don't do nothing with that roster, man. If they're going to think like that. And AD know it. He knows it, man. You can just see from his reactions. That.
Oh, he thin-skinned. Did you hear? He was getting on fans for calling and saying he injury prone and he's sick of them calling him street clothes.
Man, he better stay off social media, man, because they got every right in the world to complain. He missed what? How many games this guy missed? Like 40-something games?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's nothing. Hey, his first, he was in the league. I'll give you a story about AD, man. AD, it took in his 4th year to finally play the Bulls, his hometown team in Chicago, because the first 3 years in the league, he always had an injury going into the Chicago game.
Yeah, so I think you told me that. You said that on the previous show. Yeah, I never knew that. It
was his hometown team. It took him 4 seasons into the league to finally play against Chicago. And one of them was he had a hurt big toe, I think, in the 3rd year.
Yeah. Hurt big toe. Right.
He had a concussion the 1st year. I think he had like a lacerated finger the 2nd year, and he had a hurt big toe the 3rd year. But he's been hurt his whole career, man. He can't get mad.
Can't argue that.
He can't argue it. He can't get mad. The fans got every right to say it. He's not been durable in his whole entire career. From New Orleans to LA, he has not been durable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hurt the Lakers this year not to have the guy, to be honest. I mean, he missed a lot of games, man. He missed half of the season.
Yeah. So, but before we get to our last topic, which is the Kansas Jayhawks, 2022 national champion Kansas Jayhawks. So who you got for the MVP race? Because I've been seeing that debated, and Embiid is on fire. Jokic had a career year. And Giannis. I've seen those are the three that have been leading the way that I've seen the most. And you could, I like Jokic, of course, Giannis. But if I had a vote and I had to vote today, I may go with Embiid, man. I like what I've seen from Embiid. Embiid has been unstoppable.
Yeah, that would be my pick. I like what Embiid has done. I think, to be dominant from first game to going into 82 game, I just think he's a more assertive player. And, Philly is not a number one seed, but just his consistency from start to finish.
Yeah.
And I just think he's just been the most. I know Jokic played. He's been great too, man.
He's been good. He's been good. Can't take nothing from him.
But I just think that Embiid has just been that guy for the whole year. And then you're talking about a team that made a mid-season trade, and you bring
He's
in
still
James,
going.
you bring in James Harden, and it doesn't change anything how he still been dominant for the whole year. So if I was voting, I have him 1, I have Jokic 2, and I might go with Booker for 3.
Booker for 3? Okay.
Yeah, I think Booker and that Phoenix Suns team has been, man, it's hard getting 60. What they got, 63 wins or whatever it is.
Franchise record.
Yeah, it just. I think overall, they are the best put together team this season. Just put together. You can nothing changed their style. They got options. Nobody plays out of their role.
Yeah.
And they about 12 men deep. And they're gonna be one hard team to beat in the playoffs.
Yeah. And I would say this: if Phoenix doesn't win the championship this year, it's a failure, because I fully expect them to win it this year. I don't see whoever they play out of the East has a puncher's chance, but it's not like last year. It's not like last year. They're clear cut the best team in the league, and they should win the title. If they got to stay healthy though. Injury is the only thing that can really derail them. Ayton has still been kind of up and down. He hasn't been, as consistent as he was last year. And this is to be expected. There's still growing pains and whatnot. I think he's going through what AD still is currently plaguing him, and what Embiid grew out of, and that's that mentality that I'm the guy. Because that's what seems like Embiid has happened with him this year, is that when you watch them play, you can tell unquestionably Embiid is the leader.
Oh no, yeah. You couldn't say that last year though.
No, you couldn't.
There were some games that he just, he looked good in a minute, then the next minute, like, man, where's Embiid? What is he doing? He's fumbling the ball hit off his leg, or he's just not assertive. But yeah, you're right. This is his team, and he's proving it not by talk. He's proving it by his performance, and that. To be honest, man, it's hard to be the man when you got a guy like James Harden.
Oh man, yeah.
But it helps when you're 7 foot though.
Yeah. Hey, he may get the MVP just off of that. I'm like, look, he had a great season, and he had to put up with James Harden. You got to give it to him.
Yeah, I don't think he had to put up with him though.
Oh, not much, because he seems to be the guy. When I seen him going at Ben Simmons, I said, "Oh, this is different than Embiid," because he was always one of those guys who said things on Twitter, even when he was hurt and he didn't play for his first 2 years. I don't think he played at all. And they stuck with the process. They trusted the process, like they said. And he's ended up turning into one of the best players in the league, probably the best big man in the entire game. I mean, you can make an argument about that. Jokic is up there, of course, but the step Embiid has took this year is a significant step. And going forward, if they can get the right pieces around him, because I don't think James Harden is the right piece, and I don't think the current team and what they got right now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
They got to get the right team around him.
I think they got to look at more. They got to really look closely. Do they have the right situation at GM? In my opinion. And another thing I gotta see Doc coach in the playoffs. Doc has always been a great regular season coach, but once they get in the playoffs, his teams are different. Go back and his Clippers, and hell, you can't go back to 2008 and when he coached Boston, and that was his only success in the playoffs. We don't want the Orlando Magic Doc Rivers. We gotta have
It's always it's bittersweet with him, man. You got to take the sweet with the sour with him, because he's won the title with Boston in 2008. And that was a while back, but also no one has won more Game 7s than him. But also no one has lost more Game 7s than him. So that's why it's bittersweet. You got to take the bitter with the sweet. And I will say though, since he's left Boston, I don't think that there was a time where I would say that he had a team where it was clear he should have won. Those Clipper teams, it's the Clippers. Yeah, just at no point was I like, the Clippers going to win the title.
You could say 2009 when they were trying to repeat and they lost the Lakers in the 7th game.
Well, that maybe that's the only one. Maybe that's the only one.
But COVID had a lot to do with that, though.
Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. But I don't know if Doc is the right fit. But we'll see, and we're gonna leave it there. So let's get into the Kansas Jayhawks and the largest comeback in NCAA tournament history. I think it was 15 points that they were down at the half. And I didn't get to see the game live, of course. I watched the replay and I watched the highlights and some people break it down. But one of the things that stuck out, what I saw, was some of the adjustments that Kansas made. Early, they didn't play sound defense, and second chance points were killing them. North Carolina seemed to get every loose ball, every rebound, every block, every steal. They were out hustling them. And they made an adjustment. One of his adjustments he made, man, Christian Braun turned into an unguardable person in the second half. Like, they couldn't guard him. Number 2 for Kansas. They couldn't guard him. And they were able to play more sound defense in the second half. I saw a much more focused team. Energy was up. And but this is a testament to Bill Self and him being the great coach that he is.
Yeah, no question, man. I mean, I gotta admit, man, I saw the first half of the game. I say, well, man, the North Carolina got this one. So
I didn't watch it, but I was keeping up with the score, and I was like, I'm not missing nothing. This game over.
I cut it off, man. I didn't even watch the second half, and I was shocked when I got up in the morning. Said, damn, they came back. Because I saw a Kansas team just like you described. They looked like they were overmatched. It looked like they were overmatched by the moment. They were slow getting rebound. They would shoot one shot and it was one shot. North Carolina get the rebound, push the ball up the floor. North Carolina with the bigs, they were just dominating them inside. I just said, man, these guys look like they just overmatched. I mean, I just didn't see no comeback fight from this Kansas team. It's just like, man, they scored again. They come down, and North Carolina score again. And, it's just like the momentum surge was there. And they only, they might win this by 20-something points instead of, they might. I thought they were extending the lead after halftime. But give them credit, man. I say this, man. Self and Kansas, they have a team that experienced team, and all those pieces fit together. They're similar to I like to say like a Memphis somewhere. They got a lot of parts and they all fit. And even though I didn't see the second half, that obviously they had to rebound better because they was getting killed on second chance points.
Oh yeah, when that, especially on that 12-0 run that UNC had in the first half, I saw that. I said, man, this might be over. This might be a wrap. But then they came out. That's that second half. I was watching them. Their hair was on fire.
Yeah.
And one thing about when it comes to comebacks and teams being up by a lot, the pressure is on the team who's winning.
Yeah.
You know, the pressure's on the team who's winning because you're behind. It's like, okay, we got to dig ourselves out of this hole, and it is what it is. But the pressure is on the team who's winning because as the team gets closer and closer and closer, you just see those butts get tighter and tighter and tighter, and they stop playing their game. They start playing hesitant. They start playing a little skittish. Like one of the threes that UNC jacked up, it was 15 seconds left on the clock, and he jacked up a three. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's 15 seconds left on the clock, man. He's almost at the logo jacking up a three. And I'm like, come on, man. Come on with that. No. And then for the last play, you go back, you see the last play. I don't know what they drew up in the huddle, but they need to throw it away and not run that play no more. Because it was simply throw the ball to a playmaker and let him dribble until he can get some space and shoot the ball. I would like to see something better than that.
Yeah. But some of these college teams, man, they just seem like the one thing I like about Kansas. It seems like Kansas guys have been together, like they play, like they do know each other's tendencies. A lot of time I watch college basketball, man, it just seems like, oh yeah, it's just a collection of guys. They've used the whole season to try to build and come together, figure out their strengths and weaknesses, and then they get in the tournament and try to make a run. But it just seemed like Kansas got this, I don't know. It seemed like they got chemistry. It seemed like they had, because I watched the Villanova game on the semis and just seeing how they defended and they get back and they compliment each other and just, they just seem like they are a connected team.
Yeah,
and that's not the case for the majority of teams in the NCAA. Man, they just seem like there's a. I like Arkansas because Arkansas seem to have that continuity. Mm-hmm. They seem to play with a style that
like the Peacocks. The Peacocks they would fit well together.
Yeah.
St. Peter's. Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the biggest challenge of college basketball, man. I just think the guys don't play. I don't think they play enough together. Like that's you look at this season and next season, it'll be a whole different starting five. It'd be a whole collection of different players. But with Kansas, that they're a good team. Like I said, I was shocked that they were able to come back from that 15-point deficit and change the rebounding, find them hit shots, get back and defend, protect the rim, and it seemed like they did all that. Because I didn't see the second half, but
they did everything that you said. They did. They changed just about everything, and they were able to defend. Christian Braun came in, and he was giving them hell in the paint. They couldn't do anything with him. So. Yeah, but man, congratulations to the Kansas Jayhawks. Bill Self, I think this is his second title, if I'm not mistaken.
Second or third, might be third.
Yeah, it may be the third. Let me see. Let's see, Bill Self. Here we go. I just know Bill Self is he's been around for a long time. He's one of the better coaches in all of college basketball. Let's see, UNC head coaching record. Two-time NCAA Division I tournament, 2008 and 2022. He's been to the Final Four 4 times. Won the Big 12 tournament 9 times. Yeah, so this is a storied resume right here.
And they said they're going on probation too.
Oh yeah, okay. So they done made some violations, but somebody told. somebody told. You know,
Yeah,
whatever it is, somebody told. You know, when it comes to violations, no matter what league it is or how high it is, somebody told. That's like when the Falcons got in trouble for funneling in crowd noise. How in the world would the league know that they were doing that? They didn't go to a Falcons game and was like, yo, it's unusually loud in here. I wonder if they're funneling in noise. No, somebody told. Hey, when Miami got in trouble, hey, nobody knew what Miami was doing. Shapiro told. That's what happened. They get told on. So somebody told on them. That's all.
Yeah, somebody told for the right price, probably.
Yeah, somebody told on them. Yeah, it is what it is. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on all my social medias. Follow Mr. Reid, Jacksonville.com, Florida Times Union. Follow him on Twitter. And man, we will be back with more next week. I'm sure. The draft is the 28th, so we do a little something for the draft. You know, we're gonna have a talk about the draft. No, we'll coordinate, but it's coming up, so we'll do a show where we can do it just center on the draft, the whole draft, and we'll kind of break it down, talk about it. We could talk about some prospects and things like that. But till then, man, I'm sure the news cycle will bring forth a good little bit of stuff. And we going into the playoffs for the NBA, so we'll have some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man.
Oh yeah, I am looking forward to this play in and how these playoffs are going to shake out, because I think it's going to be some might be a few surprises in the East. I think the West might shake out how you think it's going to shake out, but the East is such a toss up over there, man. There's no clear cut lion, that's going to seem like they can beat any and everybody. Everybody over there look like they can get beat.
I'm impressed with the Pelicans, man. How about
man? Didn't they beat the snot out the Lakers, man?
Yeah, they beat them twice. They beat them twice in a week.
Yeah, put them to sleep.
Yeah, they didn't beat Memphis today, though. I think that was the day. Yeah, they played Memphis. We got beat like by 36 points.
That lets you know how bad of a team the Lakers are right there, man.
Yeah, they got beat by 36, and I don't think Monroe even played, even though he was dressed. I don't think he played. He had an ice bag on his knee, man. But that Memphis team is good, brother.
Yeah, those guys are good, man. But I appreciate y'all, man. Any parting words? Any last things you want to say before we get out of here?
Nah, just it's on to the draft. Everything going forward for me it'd be draft related, man. So.
Yeah, man.
Wish me luck.
I definitely will, man. But man, I appreciate everybody, and we are out of here. Peace out.